1. Let me tell you about a cashier at a movie theater. His name is Cuthbert. Well, it's not, but we're going to call him Cuthbert. Because. One afternoon, while Cuthbert was cashiering, I was in the queue, just lost in thought and not paying attention to my surroundings. I'm ashamed to admit that I didn't notice I was standing such that I was preventing a wheelchair user from entering the building. Cuthbert absolutely screamed at me, "Get the hell out of that man's way!" I'm not totally sure why Cuthbert's first thought was to shout at me. Perhaps he thought I was in the way on purpose, like a jerk. Had I noticed a person in the wheelchair on my own, I'd have immediately moved out of the way without being told. My sin was being oblivious, not malicious. I do take the Americans with Disabilities Act seriously, as I have my own health issues and realize the ADA is important. I thought about telling on Cuthbert for shouting at me instead of being polite, but I didn't, at least not at that time. A few months later, I showed up to the theater, way early for the film I wanted to see, as I'd read the listings in one of the local papers incorrectly. Yeah, I get that it might sound like I'm an idiot. Because I initially did not realize that I'd read the listing wrong, I politely told Cuthbert, "I think the listings in the paper are incorrect." I thought I was doing the company a favor, being that if the error was the fault of the publication might owe them some free ad space. His response was to emphatically state that he did not care. I replied, "I think you ought to care," in a polite tone. He shouted, "We have our listings in so many publications and on so many websites. For us to be able to keep track of everything and communicating the listings is not part of my duties." By the way, it crossed my mind that perhaps Cuthbert, for whatever reason, was trying to get fired. I asked a gal at the snack bar to get the manager for me, as I was concerned that if I told him I wanted to talk to the manager, he'd just scream at me again and refuse to summon them. I told the manager about how he had just behaved, and I also mentioned the blocking the door incident. The manager's first response was to say, maybe he's worked here too long. I was asked by the manager why I had not reported his first instance of yelling at me at the time. I explained that I was worried about looking like an asshole who does not care about disabled folks having access to public spaces. When the manager and I figured out that I had read the listings wrong, they weren't even mad. As far as he was concerned, I'd never given Cuthbert any reason to raise his voice. Right after I chatted with the manager, he wanted to talk to him. I could not hear the conversation between them. I seriously thought he was getting fired based on my word, which was not my intent. But if a grown man chooses to not behave appropriately, he is going to dig his own grave. On a closing note, after not seeing Cuthbert the next 2 or 3 times I went to this theater, I asked about him, and I was told flat out that the manager had reassigned him to the projection room because the manager thought that he needed a break from contact with the customers. 2. Here's a story I often tell when I worked at a popular Midwestern gas station. I like to call it the Poosplosion of 2018. I was about 10 minutes away from getting off my shift in the afternoon. I was just finishing up my side work of emptying out the trash cans in the middle of the store when I hear a "Excuse me, miss," from across the store. I thought nothing of it until I heard it again. I looked at it, and it was coming from near the bathrooms. An elderly man was leaning out of the women's bathroom and beckoning me over. I groaned internally at the thought of how or why someone would need help in a single-stall public restroom. I hesitantly walk over and ask what he needs, as politely as the situation requires. He says something along the lines of, "I made a mess and I tried to clean it up best I can. Sorry." He seemed legitimately embarrassed as he was talking to me. I give him the classic, "Oh, it's no problem, I'll take care of it." Like, what else was I supposed to say? He shuffled off quickly and exited the store. The smell hit me. I have a weak gag reflex when it comes to bathroom smells, so I almost gagged. I could only open the door about a foot and glance in while holding my breath. I didn't even know how someone would make this kind of mess in the bathroom at the time. There was liquid shit everywhere, on and around the toilet, on the back tank, and even some on the wall. I made a bucket of the hottest mop water I could, but I just couldn't clean it without gagging. I had to get my poor, super nice assistant manager to clean it. I felt so bad for her. It turns out this old man had a colostomy bag that he had dumped into the toilet to empty, but apparently missed the toilet. I'm not mad at the man, but apparently this is not the first time he had done this. As for the reason he was in the women's restroom, I'm not sure. There was probably already a man occupying the men's restroom at the time. I ended up taking my side work trash out and leaving before I got roped into helping clean the bathroom. I tried to avoid using that bathroom again for a long time. 3. I used to work for a furniture store and home decor supplier. I worked in the kids' play area mostly, and sometimes was a greeter. Working in the play area was more positive than not. Being a greeter was a unique experience. You see some pretty weird stuff. In the lobby, we had 2 ways for customers to get upstairs, an elevator and an up escalator. There is no down escalator, only one for going up. I'm emphasizing this because I know it's super weird to have an up without a down. Customers seem to get the lack of a down escalator confused and would try to run down the up escalator, which after the 100th time seeing it stopped being funny. Especially during times when people were nearly injured. In the entrance to the kids' play area, but not where the kids actually played, we kept 4 wheelchairs. People could come and request them and we'd sign them out. This guy and his son, who's using crutches, come in and want to know if wheelchairs are available. Sure are. I direct him to where he can get them. Both are super cheerful and thankful. They send out the wheelchair, they come around to the front of the escalator. Now, I can see exactly what is about to happen. Guy tells son to sit in the wheelchair. Wanting to prevent disaster, I politely say to him, "Did you folks need help finding the elevator?" In my defense, the elevator is tucked away in the lobby and not immediately visible to customers. The dad goes, "Nah, we're going to use this way," he says while nodding at the escalator. I say, in my mom voice, "Sir, you can't go up the escalator in the wheelchair. People use the elevator." Any friendliness I had was gone in an instant. Never mind the gigantic warning signs at the bottom of the escalator saying no carts, no wheelchairs, no suitcases, no strollers. I cannot stress enough how dangerous that is to do. And his son is a kid, can't be older than 12. You really want to risk your child's safety? You know, maybe now we know why this kid's in crutches. "It's fun, we do it all the time." Listen, dude, when I bust out the mom voice, that's when all the fun stops. Dude seriously turns the wheelchair around and shoves it right into the escalator in less than 2 seconds. He's definitely done shenanigans like this before. He's had plenty of practice. Wheelchair starts to get stuck and act wonky, so I run over and hit the escalator's emergency stop. Torture everyone in the lobby with the thing's buzzing alarm. Everyone in a short radius is mad. People who are in the hallway are startled and hollering at me why I did it. I didn't even get into it with people. It seemed to take a moment for them all to realize about the Nimrod with this wheelchair wedged on the bottom of the escalator to understand what was going on. When I hit the emergency stop, the wheelchair bucked to the side because the escalator stops with a bit of a jerk. And it was one of the wider chairs, so that's how it got stuck. One of my co-workers calls out to me, wanting to know what happened. I tell her, and she called the security office upstairs to come restart the escalator. Has to be restarted manually, only loss prevention can do it. One of my managers from the registers heard the escalator and ran down to see what was going on. He helped the guy yank the wheelchair off the escalator, but also gave him a firm talking to about how dangerous that was. That wheelchair could have rolled backwards and taken out everyone behind it. 4. I have a few stories from my time working in a supermarket about 15 years ago. My hat goes out to all the retail workers, and anyone who has to deal with the public in general, especially during the current times. I became a supervisor after a few years of working at the supermarket, and would occasionally be acting service manager during weekends and nights. I would have to process refunds, and one lady came to get a refund on a jar of jam. The reason? It was too tight to open. I offered to open it for her, but her response was, "If they make it too tight for me to open, they don't deserve my business." I tried explaining that it's tight to prevent contamination, so it's a safety and health issue, but she wasn't having it, just wanted her money back. Another time, a customer asked if we had any concentrated stock packets. I remarked that it was a really great product and had not bought some myself. I called up the grocery department and they told me they stopped carrying it. When I told the customer, she remarked, "Stupid store, no wonder people blow up buildings." This was about 2005 and post 9/11. Even though we weren't in America, I was fairly young and didn't know how to respond to this overreaction, so I stood there with my mouth open for a second. Before I could even react, the customer's husband grabbed her and quickly dragged her out of the store, saying, "No one is blowing anything up." The manager told me afterwards I should have called security, but I think at the time my mind was completely bamboozled by such an overreaction to a lack of stock. My third story is about closing on Saturdays. The store closed at 5 p.m. on Saturdays, and we would close half the doors then to not allow any more customers in, but usually there were so many customers in the store that it would take us until about 5:30 or later to get them all served. We would spend until 6 p.m. cleaning the registers and taking the money tills out after counting the cash. I would make a call over the loudspeaker at 5 p.m. saying that the store had closed and please finalize your purchases to make your way to the registers. People always dawdled, and it took ages to get them through the registers. This one Saturday was mayhem, and it was taking ages to get everyone out. At 5:15, I would send someone around to remind all the customers to make their way to the registers, just to give that little push to hurry up. One day I did it myself, as all the staff was busy on registers, and a lady tried to argue with me that the store wasn't closing. I had an announcement at 5 saying the store is closing. "I didn't hear it." "Regardless, it is closing, and I would really appreciate it if you made your way to the registers." I went back to start preparing for closing. At 5:30, Ms. Entitled is still wandering the store, so I go back. "Excuse me, but we are going to close soon, so I really need you to go to the registers." "It can't be closing. There are people wandering around the store." "They are shelf packers. They pack the shelves after the store is closed." "You're lying. I saw a lady wandering around as well. She didn't look like a shelf packer." That was the store manager going into her office. "You're just picking on me. I don't have to leave." "The store has closed, and as soon as the last customer is finished, we will be taking the cash register away, at which time you won't be able to buy any of your shopping. In about 5 minutes, all the registers will be removed." "This is harassment. I'm going to finish my shopping." I walk to the front and say over the loudspeaker, "The store has now closed. Please shut down all registers." Entitled customer sprints to the register, glares at me through the entire transaction, and glares as she walks out the doors. She stared at me angrily as I brought down the roller doors. 95% of customers were great, but that 5% made my eye twitch. 5. Working retail, I definitely have a lot of stories about the garbage I have to put up with. Annoying crap about corporate rules and bosses being unreasonable, and customers trying to work us over for some BS discount. It gets exhausting. But then every so often we get little interactions that actually make it a bit easier to get through the day. And this one warmed my heart enough that it felt worth sharing. I'm a key holder at an outlet store for an athletic brand. We mostly sell shoes, but also a little apparel and accessories. The other day, a couple come in with their daughter who was probably 3 or 4 years old. I greet them and launch into my explanation of our promo. Anything with a red or yellow sticker is going to be 30% off, and if there's anything we can help you out with, please let us know. At the word sticker, the little girl's eyes lit up. She just starts saying, "Sticker?" with a smile, before eventually repeating, "I want a sticker." Now, the red and yellow promo stickers are boring. They're just little red or yellow dots with the company logo on them. And we can't give them out because of loss prevention policy. We have a couple of others hanging around. We usually keep those neon office dot stickers around to mark the boxes that display shoes come out of. But last summer, we decided we wanted to have some fun with those. So my coworker picked up a pack of stickers from the dollar store. Has like rainbows and robots and cats and dogs and ice cream and stuff. We put them on some of the boxes, had a laugh about it, and then forgot about them and went back to using the dots. Luckily for everyone, we still had those hanging around, so I grabbed the sheet out of the drawer and took it over to the little girl. "I have some stickers here, so I can give you one. Do you want to pick one?" She grins. "I want all of them." "Well, I can only give you one of them. Which one do you pick?" She pointed to one of the rainbow stickers, so I peeled it off and gave it to her. She was psyched. "What do you say?" said her mom. "Thank you," she said with a grin. Then she ran off to find her dad and show off her new sticker to him. Later, when they were trying on shoes, the little girl and I were talking about the sticker again. We were talking about how the oils on your skin make the adhesive lose its stick, and she started wondering if water would make it not sticky. After that conversation, she started telling me, "I love you," over and over. It was honestly the sweetest thing. "She does this to everyone," says the mom. "No, I don't, but I love you." Well, I'm glad I got to make your day better. The parents seemed like they might have been slightly embarrassed about her telling me she loves me over and over, but it was honestly the sweetest thing. It made me feel good to know I was able to make her happy with that one little thing. It's the small interactions like that that make retail not completely terrible. I wouldn't say worth it, but it makes the days better until I can find something else. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 153. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories and sent in stories for use in this video. If you enjoyed the video, even if you didn't, please do share it around with all your friends and family. I appreciate it when you do so. And if you yourself have a story you'd like to send in, please do send it along to kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's kingofthecities@gmail.com. Alright, let's see. This is Tuesday, isn't it? It is. It is Tuesday, and it's rather windy outside today. It's windy, there's dogs barking. It makes for a great recording environment, but that's fine, that's fine. We're done recording now. We're not going to grumble, because we're done. It's fine. Allegedly, it's sunny with light rain and wind. So, typical weather for Scotland, okay. And that has been the much-anticipated weather update that I know you were all waiting for. Alright, let's see. Hellfreezer question of the day. I totally don't just make these up on the spot. Alright, given that God is infinite, and that the universe is also infinite, is a bagel a savory donut? And with that in mind, would you like filled bagels? But instead of getting like chocolate or caramel syrup or jam or jelly, depending on where you live, if you got savory things inside it, like ketchup. Like a warm ketchup bagel, where the ketchup is in the middle. That actually sounds kind of nasty. Or, peanut butter filled bacon bagel. That might actually be quite nice. Bacon and peanut butter surprisingly goes well together. Don't knock until you tried it. Actually, you probably shouldn't try it. It's not very healthy, but it does taste nice. Okay, so that's our question for the day. Well, let's see. Any other business to take care of? I don't think so. Links in the description for all the good stuff. Merchandise store, Patreon, Twitter, all that sort of thing. Including links to the stories. Also timestamps for the stories. I think you guys all knew that part anyway. And I think that covers about everything for now. So, should probably head off and make the rest of the video. Then lie in bed and be lazy for the rest of the day because, I try to rest most of the time these days when I'm not working. May even go for a nap. Nap good. Okay, anyway, with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.